In a previous video I showed you a complete strip down of one of these Mazda MX-5 Mk4 seats and revealed the base frame underneath and exactly what seat support Mazda offer with the standard seats, irrespective of the fact whether it's got a cloth covering or the leather covering that the sport models have. Now, the standard seat frame is reasonably similar to that of the Recaro. However, Recaro have enhanced the top parts. And if you've been lucky enough to sit in one of those Recaro seats, for example, the orange 30th anniversary edition, you'll begin to feel that they're firmer on the bottom, that the bolsters hug you that little bit more, that the seat back's slightly more supportive. And I wondered what could be done to help enhance the seats. And I tried all manner of things. I tried fitting different serpentine springs to the base of the seat to try and help bolster that. I've tried various sorts of wadding or foam in the back of the seat to try and bolster the seats up a bit and just add that extra bit of support. Because I read online, if there's not any curved shaped sponge or other sort of support at the base here, you can suffer from poor lumbar support. So that got me thinking, and I wondered what I could do. But nothing I did came close to the Recaros. Now, as you're sitting watching this video, you're probably thinking, hey Steve, how do you possibly expect to compete with a Recaro with all the years of experience and expertise they have and all the technology that they have at their fingertips to create fantastic seats? I would agree with you. I'm not trying to compete with the Recaro, I'm just trying to enhance these a little bit more than they are. But I was passing a Fiat Abath dealership and they had a 124 Abath Spider parked out front. And I pulled up and I thought, I'll just pop in and sit in the car because I hadn't sat in one, and just compare it to my MX-5. And sitting in the car was a real game changer for me, because although the seats were the same kind of shape and the same kind of width and so on as the MX-5, because let's face it, both cars are made in exactly the same factory to very close specifications, the Abarth seats just had something a bit different about them. The bolsters just hugged you that little bit more. The seat bottom just cradled you that little bit more. And I just felt the whole thing was just slightly more comfortable. And I thought to myself, well, if Abarth can tweak it, there has to be something that I can do to make a difference to my seats. And I've added some modifications to this seat that I've been road testing for a number of weeks, and I've spent many hours in succession sat in this seat, either watching movies or other online content, and I can say that it's made a fantastic difference. This seat is so comfortable. I took a long journey in my Mazda MX-5, 4 or so hours door to door, and I was conscious that I was needing to stop after 2.5 hours because the seat was not as comfortable as I'd hoped. But I've sat for a lot more than 2.5 hours in a straight line in this seat, and I can say hand on heart that it's made all the difference. Now if I remove this top bolster carefully without destroying the either the bolster or the polystyrene foam at the top there. That's it. I'll just place it out the way over here. I'll show you what I've done. So underneath this heat pad I've added a frame, and I've got an example of a frame here. I then discovered that where I'd originally added some of these serpentine springs to the back of the seat, these are meant for the bottom of a seat, and that was one of my fundamental errors. The hoops are very tight together and the gauge of the metal is very thick, whereas this, you can see immediately that the hoops are much wider and the gauge of the metal is thinner, and it bends, it flexes a lot more easily. And I've positioned one of these right in the base of the seat here, and if I just spin this chair around, there we go, you can see that I've added one across the back of the seat here, and it's nice and low. So the end result is that you've got the spring pad at the top here, and you've got that extra lumbar support literally right on the curve of the chair. And in my tests, this is absolutely the right place for this. As you sit in the seat, it just gives you that bit of support without being too aggressive. So if we loosen this bolster off and we have a look under here, under the bolster I've actually added another piece of support. Now it starts from about a third of the way back on the seat. As you look at the seat, probably just under halfway, because the leg support at the front here doesn't have any seat frame on it. The seat pad itself starts at least 15 centimeters back from the front, 6 inches if you are imperial, and so I didn't want to put anything in that position, because also on the driver's side this mechanism moves, and I felt that it was unwise to interfere with any of that at all. And indeed the thickness of the bolster, the maximum amount of foam that's here, is in that position, and so I also thought that it wouldn't sit necessarily as tightly as it should. So my support is at the back, but that's fine, because when you're sitting on the seat, it's this section at the back is where you need the support. The main part of your body weight is in this area, which is why I guess Mazda didn't feel the need to put the seat pad any further forward, because your weight is at the back here. So I've added a proper seat base pad to the back of the seat, and when I was conducting the tests that I mentioned before, I can tell you that both together were the game changer. You could just have the back, and I did try it for quite a while with just the back, and whilst that was good, you were still feeling slightly underwhelmed by the support you were getting from the base there. Enhancing the base with the seat pad just added enough extra support, and I can say complete game changer. To fit the spring back, the first thing we've got to do is take this heated seat mat off, and literally we've just got to pare our way along this foam, just literally removing the glue like this. Just slide in. There are places where Mazda just didn't add any glue. I guess they figured that if the top sections were on enough, and it's literally just paring that back, picking it off of the back there. But that's released that part of it. And this spring frame, I'm first going to cover in this upholstery material, and then we'll attach it to the back of the seat. So I'll just pause the video, move this chair out of the way, grab my equipment, and I'll see you guys in a minute. So now we're ready to begin work. The first job that we've got to do is cover this spring frame with this upholstery material to protect the seat back and the bolsters from the metalwork on this seat. So To do that, we need to cut ourselves a section of material. The next thing to do is to cut some gaps in it to allow these prongs to be able to be released. So I'm going to mark where I need to cut them. Here we go. So there's the fabric with the first set of holes made in it. And it's literally just a matter of popping these to allow it to flex the way you want it to get your hole in line. There we are. And the last one. And as I'm doing that, you can see just how bendy this spring frame is. So the first thing to do is to make a pocket along the bottom edge here. So a quick couple of pins to pin this edge down. Trying to maintain a straight edge firm while I start it off. There we go. Don't want those to pop them away, because they always catch you out otherwise. So, threaded my needle already. You really don't want to watch me threading a needle. And literally just start myself off along the side here, constantly catching them on there. It's literally a matter of sewing ourselves all the way along. Rather than boring you with sewing it along, I'm going to pause the video, sew along, and I'll see you in a moment. There we go, that's the final thread cut. So that's our spring frame completely covered in the upholstery fabric, which is really good. Now we're ready to fit it to the seat. So I'll take all this sewing kit away and see you in a minute. We've got the chair back now and our newly covered spring frame, and it's just a matter of fitting it. And we're literally going to clip the hooks through this bottom section and then over the frame. And it's really important that it sits underneath this white trim, because that's what the seat cover will clip back on. If this was over the top of the white trim, we wouldn't be able to put the seat cover back on, which clearly is bad on. And literally unhook this spring mat all the way down without catching my finger. There we go. So I've hooked the spring mat in to the at the bottom. Now it's just a matter of threading these arms through the seat like this, and then hooking this side in first. Without catching, it's very important that we don't catch the so this one's going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to pry the seat mat forward a little bit, just to make sufficient space to tuck this in, and then just use the head of the pliers to push it all the way home. And the same with the top one. Just literally get it out a little bit. There we go. Just pop the spring mat in, and then it's just a matter of tucking this opposite side in which is a lot easier because this side of the mat is unclipped, and then clipping the spring mat back up. I haven't done the bottom one. Let's do them in order. That one, and then that one, and then that one, finally the top one, and now our spring mat is in place and is providing us with the support that we needed. So that's that part of the job completed. We will need to stick this back on with some contact adhesive, which we'll do in a moment. Just secure this in place with a clip like that, so that we can hold it up out the way. I'm going to ease this forward like so, being careful because the heated seat bottom, all the electrics are still attached and we don't want to disturb those at all. So now the thing to do is to thread the seat support underneath this seat mat, clip it onto this back rail, and then literally attach it to this front rail so that it offers the support that we need. So I've tucked the seat frame underneath there. It's a little bit tricky, you have to tip the seat up, and unfortunately I ended up with my back to the camera for quite a period of time. So I just paused things because the last thing you want to see is me in the way of what you're looking at. So it's now a matter of just tucking all of this back through the back of the seat. Making sure that it's lifted over the fixings in the back here, and then putting the gluing the top fabric on, which is our next job. Now we're ready to add the contact adhesive to stick the foam back down. There's literally just some spray contact adhesive. And I've got some corrugated cardboard just to spray onto, and it's literally just a tiny bit all the way down, and need to get a bit further down because it's just going to go down in one piece, of course. And the reverse, obviously, on this side. I'm just getting the waste cardboard in position. I don't really want to cover me or the chair in the adhesive. Nearly there. A couple of spots further up, I reckon, and we'll be home free. We'll do fine and dandy. Okay, so move that out the way. So it is literally now a moment of leave this here, allow it to dry, because it will want about half an hour for it to dry. We'll leave that to go off, and I'll see you when it's dried. Now the centre foam has dried, the next thing to do is to attach the bolster in exactly the same way. Use some spray adhesive. I've already put some cardboard in place so that we can just get straight on with this. Here we go. Around, leave it there. Leave it there. Leave it around this side. Carefully take the cardboard away. Got to be quite quick because it's quite a warm day today, and the spray adhesive will go off quite quickly. There. Right, just make sure that's nice and tight around those sides. The bolsters are now glued on, and the only thing that remains to be done is to add the spring to the back of the chair. I've already cut it to size, and I put 2 little bits of electrical insulation on the ends to protect those edges, even though I filed them, from cutting any of the seat fabric. So we'll just clip that in. Literally goes one end in there and the other end in here. It's a little bit tricky. So there we go. So the spring is now installed in the seat, and you can see as we're flexing it, it's giving that much needed lumbar support. As we push on the front, simulating somebody sat in the chair, it's giving all the support that we need. That's about it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to hit the old subscribe button down the bottom there, so you'll be aware when we post new content online. See you guys again soon. Take care.